My name is Bruce Wiswell. I'm from Henderson, Nevada. Currently, I'm originally from Northern California. The clients that I work with tend to be primarily independent pharmacies that are towards the end of their run. They're people that are wanting to retire, people that are struggling with a lot of competition, and they're looking for a way out that puts the money in their pocket. And a lot of them are purely interested in taking care of their customers, particularly the retiring pharmacists. Want to make sure that the patients they've been serving are continue to be served going forward. I grew up in an independent pharmacy, so independent pharmacy has been really a part of my life since I was a very small child. I worked quite a long time in the chain industry as well. However, even in the chain side of our business, buying stores, I've always found myself attracted in making sure that the chain or the independent owner was taken care of in those deals. I think it's pretty important to have the independent out there. They offer such an alternative to what the chains can offer, and it suits a pretty large customer base. When independents sell their pharmacies, their concerns are oftentimes the finances, what they're going to come away with, the complication of the sale, missing something, not suiting the laws that cover the DEA and the Board of Pharmacy. There are a lot of details involved in the sale, and oftentimes they get drugged down in the minutia of the detail because they're still working in their pharmacy on a daily basis. So they end up doing double duty when they try to do it on their own. Invariably, many do miss things, and they're concerned about not exiting their business in a totally legal, clean manner. As I worked as a buyer and I was buying for a chain, it's completely the opposite of what I'm doing today. It's the side that the owner faces, and oftentimes owners are quite certain that they're working with a large chain, and the large chain is ethical and everything is going to work out great, and they care about them. And unfortunately, that's not true. The individual that they work with may very well try to take care of them and do his best. But again, he is an employee of that larger group. And I think people make the mistake that their business is really important to the large chain. And what it really comes down to is it's just another cog in the wheel. They don't necessarily have anybody working their side of the sale. And they end up having to face situations where now they're well down the path of the deal. And what do they do if something doesn't go right? Do they step back? Do they walk away? Is there going to be another buyer? The questions are so overwhelming. Oftentimes they'll settle when they really shouldn't. And it's hard to know that those things are going to happen beforehand. On that buyer side with the larger chains, when you're performing the acquisition for the chain, you kind of depend on those things to make deals go your way. And it gives you the opportunity to pull money back, have people wait. You don't necessarily accommodate the seller. And in fact, you don't accommodate the seller, you're trying to take care of the company that you actually work for. So it makes it difficult to take care of the independent pharmacist while you're trying to take care of your job. So independents should never make that mistake. As nice as that person on the other side may be, they do have a job to do, and they do work for someone else that pays them. So they really do have to follow through, or they won't be there. I think the independents don't necessarily understand how the chain is calculating a price for them and creating a profit for them. The chains work on an ROI value to their individual stores. They really don't look at a P&L, which can be good for an independent owner, but they need to understand that the chain has completely different view of what profit looks like. So when they go about creating a price, they're creating a price that's good for them. They don't necessarily look at the market, and they definitely look at what is around your independent pharmacy. So if you're an independent and you're the only one in town, and I'm the chain, they're pretty sure I'm the only one that you can sell to. That does not help your price, even though there's no competition around you. On the other hand, if there's a lot of competition and a lot of independents, they assume that some of the business will automatically go to those other independents. And if you have 5 independents around you, you can just subtract about a small percentage off of the money that you should get for the value of your business. So there is no price chart for the number of prescriptions you fill. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a buyer's perception of retention, and it really is. It's a guess based on some fact, but it's still, in reality, a guess and a tolerance of what an executive is willing to pay. So figuring in the value, what's around you as far as competition, is really significant in how an independent will price. Someone like me comes along and works with the independent. Generally, I have a relationship with. I'm going to have a relationship with the chain buyers. I have a relationship with independent buyers of people that I know can, first of all, afford your pharmacy, and secondly, are going to be interested in it. And the presentations are different between presenting to an independent buyer and presenting to a chain buyer. But primarily, I take advantage of the relationships that I've built over the years, and they become almost really private conversations with those people to let them know if it's honestly a good deal for them. I already know probably where they can go with the price, and what their willingness is. I can generally tell when they're holding back and they're going to give me some more, and I usually have a pretty good idea when I'm over the top, and or when the seller's desires are over the top. And unfortunately, that does happen. There's a reality to what the value of your business is, no matter how personal it is to you. It's not as personal on the other side. So it is kind of a conversational art to be talking to people and know if you've gone as far as you can. It's not like going to the car dealer. But I would relate it to one thing. If with a car dealer, most people think they can go to the car dealer and get a great deal, but closers are closers for a reason, and they're very good at getting to the last moment and getting you to do more than you probably wanted to do. You might pay more for the car than you ever wanted to. Really, the people that are on the large company side with businesses and they're buying your business, they're really the same way. Their job is to get a deal closed. Their job isn't to make you happy. And if those two things happen to work together, I think they're happy. It's not that they aren't nice people, but they have the job to do and they do it. So people in my position, we know that ahead of time. And it's a more unemotional discussion for me to talk about your pharmacy. So I'm listening to them. I can tell them when I disagree without feeling like they're going to walk away or feeling I'm under pressure to accept a deal or not accept a deal. Bottom line is only an seller can make that decision. So I'm pretty free to go any direction I want in having that discussion. Whereas, the owner that has never sold a store before, he's never dealt with a large chain before, or he's never dealt with even any kind of buyer before. That's a first-time experience, and he's at a disadvantage when he's talking to someone that wants to buy it. When I came to, obviously you can see my hair color. I'm not a young guy. I've worked in the industry for about 46 years now, so I've dealt with a lot of folks out there. I was ready to stop working in the large environment, and I really wanted to do something differently. And I looked at as the idea of selling pharmacies versus buying pharmacies. And because I like working with people, it's not a real money thing with me, because I've obviously done things for my retirement, and I'm not concerned about that so much. So it puts me in a nice position to talk to people, help people, and not feel like we won't have food on the table tonight because I didn't get a deal done. And then I started looking at the other people that were out in the industry that I work with. As a chain buyer, um, the average chain buyer doesn't really like to work with brokers, and the reason is I can say no very easily. It's not hard for me, um, and that sometimes that causes them to they'll end up paying more than they really wanted to because I'm willing to say no. Um, the but still some brokers that I work with I didn't want to work with. I felt I wasn't getting a square story. I didn't get all the information. Uh, I didn't know that I could have an honest conversation with them. And I had the good fortune to start working with Sean. Um, and I never got that feeling with Sean. In fact, I actually liked working with Sean. He was a good buffer. Um, it was, I could go through a purchase much faster knowing that I had him doing really a lot of the work, and I would go on to others that I had to work on without a broker and had to do all the work. So I found him as a help to me versus someone that was difficult to work with, or I would get to the final days of the purchase and find out something that I didn't know, should have known, should have been told. And it actually cost a couple of deals over my career where I had to call a halt to them at the last moment. And it was always over something that was being hidden, not addressed. And when I got to go look at it myself, I could see, oh, wait a minute, this hasn't been presented in an honest way. So I felt like I was getting the whole story when I worked with Sean. The most important thing that I'd say to an independent owner is, even if you're involved in a potential deal and you start to realize that there is more detail than you can imagine, and you're afraid of missing something, it's still worth a call to one of us to go through the deal with you. Um, it's not a particularly big expense if you've left it on the table. At the very least, have you done the right thing, or should you have held out for more, asked for more? Um, but that kind of begs the question of shouldn't you have taken advantage of a resource right up front? And my honest answer to people that ask is, will I be valuable to their sale of their pharmacy? And I don't think I sell very many pharmacies where I don't get enough money to cover my fee on top of what they might have gotten on their own. It's they can count on with integrity. They can count on us being there at the sale. They can count on us handling their inventory. And along the way, we've handled the details that will get them through escrow and the little things that, frankly, the buyer, even independent buyers, will hit them with one at a time from an escrow service that they're spending the day that they should be filling prescriptions or taking care of their business, and they're taking care of their sale instead. And that's they're losing money on one side or the other. So why not take advantage of having the service that'll help them through that?